beaming from Pacific Junction Hotel to Earth.
Yo, welcome to my Summer Lair. I am your host, Sammy, and we are at the Interior Design Show, and I have one of the speakers. Why don't you introduce yourself and your position at Jam3? You work at a really cool company called Jam3. So introduce yourself and what you do at Jam3.
I'm Mike Dobell, and I'm a partner at Jam3. I'm a producer by trade, but somehow found myself wearing the many hats of a partner in a digital design and experience agency in Toronto, Los Angeles, and Montevideo. So I have a lot of things going on.
Yeah. Is there what's the best word to use? Is there a different vibe? Is there a different style between like Toronto, Los Angeles, like in terms of the ideas people have, the risks that they're willing to take, just kind of a general, I know it's not a specific science what I'm asking, but you know what I'm saying?
Sure, yeah.
Those are two totally different cities, two totally different vibes.
Yeah, no,
so
definitely.
The employees and the creators you would have would...
Absolutely, yeah. No, so I mean, our teams in both cities are different, both in scale, but also in their sort of approach to life. If you check the socials of our producers in Los Angeles, it's all about their commute to work, both good and bad.
Oh yes, I can imagine. Yeah.
So sometimes it's strolls on the beach of Santa Monica on their way in, but a lot of times it's about that battle through traffic. I think, like, from a creative mindset standpoint, there's actually a lot of continuity between our teams. We have actually really international teams in both of our offices, so we have something like 27 different passports across our offices. So that's that diversity is our continuity. But in terms of like the creative in Los Angeles is a lot more focused on the work we're doing in the West Coast. So that's clients like Adidas and also the work that we're doing with the big tech up in San Francisco. And while Toronto touches a lot of that, the LA teams are much more exposed to the on the ground vibes of Adidas and like what they're trying to achieve with their brand and with their creators projects. So.
Yeah, I want to touch on the Adidas stuff, but before we get into that, you delivered a talk earlier today, and it was about the future of in-store retail.
Yep.
And you just mentioned too, like you guys have like a number of different passports. You have different teams in different cities. So you're obviously within the office and with the different projects working with Adidas. You're doing a lot of collaboration. You're working with a lot of different creators. Is there a similarity in what you're trying to achieve with companies like Adidas in terms of the retail store experience? Because that's a collaboration between a corporation and a customer. And are you finding that there's similarities between the collaborations that you guys have in the office versus like collaborating with customers and corporations?
With clients? Yeah. I mean, if I understand your question, I think...
that was a big question.
Sorry, no, that's cool. Yeah. Is the way we collaborate internally different than the way we collaborate externally? I think a big part of what we've tried to do growing up as a production company is to always be collaborative. Like, so... the convention within their creative space is kind of go up on a mountain, come back with a solution.
Yeah.
And we've never been able to be that way. We grew up as a production and design studio, so we had to collaborate with other creative people outside of our company. So whether that's directors or art directors at ad agencies or creative people at brands, we've always been expected to be a part of their team or an augment to their team. And so as we've sort of transformed ourselves to be more strategically driven and so forth, we've never taken that approach of like, go away, internal collaboration, and then go external present or external collaborate. So we try to embed our teams with our clients so that we can kind of come to the solutions to their business problems, or the creative solutions to their business problems in a collaborative way. And there's always going to be that careful tension when you're working with somebody who's paying the bills, but we try to inspire in our teams the confidence to approach it like a true partnership, and the way you do that is by focusing people on this problem to solve. So all of us being advocates for the success of the project is a really cohesive way, or like it's a really complete way of keeping people focused on the right things. Yeah.
You're talking about more like dialogue rather than monologue.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so I mean, it's Yeah, conversations. This is also why podcasting is so popular
There
these
you
days,
go.
right? It's I think this is something that has been really people are craving in their daily experience, and at work especially. We finding the space to have these rich conversations about where we should go with something is really exciting, and it's creating incredible results as well.
Well, just picking up on that thread then, so what was the conversation you had with Adidas? So Adidas knocks on your front door and there's like, hey, we're Adidas. So
Yeah,
what
yeah.
was the conversation, or what was it that they were coming to you for, and what were they hoping to achieve, or
Yeah,
you did achieve?
Yeah, for sure. There was a lot of door knocking before there were
Yeah, no,
rich conversations
Yeah.
in both ways. But yeah, so I think as a grounding within the sneaker community, within any really big pop product community, there's a common challenge, and that is that when you do a limited release of something, you're creating demand, which is great. You create hype. This is what hype culture is all about, and products sell out really quickly. The downside of that whole experience and that whole shift is that products often end up in the hands of resellers, and that the resellers are not the super fans. They're people trying to profit from the super fans.
We've seen that with concert tickets.
Yeah, totally. And so what ends up happening, they'll do a sneaker drop, they get bought up, and then the next day they're on eBay at twice the price, which is a real bummer. It's not the intention of the brand. And, so we engaged with them on a secret innovation project to tackle this in another way about 2 years ago. And that was quite successful. It bypassed that market and got the sneakers into the hands of super fans as intended, which was really, really cool. And so when the opportunity to work on ComplexCon came about, they were really wanting to replicate the success of that.
Can you just take a moment just to explain to anybody who doesn't know or hasn't been to ComplexCon what that is?
Yeah. So for sure, ComplexCon is a conference put on by Complex Magazine. It's where culture happens, and within that community of hip hop and hype culture, and every brand that matters is there, and
It's like Pharrell threw up, basically. It's
Yeah.
just
yes, totally. So this year the key sponsor at ComplexCon was Puma. And so Adidas was the challenger brand there. They were doing some sneaker drops, and the experience that a lot of the brands have had over the past few years is that whenever a drop was occurring at their specific booth, there'd be huge lineups, and then there'd be like elbows and scuffles to get these shoes. And like, while that's kind of any brand's dream, to have people fighting for their product, it's a really negative brand experience. And in fact, this year at ComplexCon, the Nike booth got shut down because of that. So Adidas wanted to avoid that, and they did avoid that with a few really cool techniques that we helped them put together. It was essentially a lockering system that at the heart of the experience. So we built into the ComplexCon app an augmented reality capability at specific moments throughout ComplexCon. These giant cubes that were hung from the ceiling, they were like 10 foot by 10 foot cubes with markers on them, would light up. People would walk over to them or run over to them. They were distributed through the space, so there was never a lineup, and you never knew which one was going to light up. People would scan it, and that would, if they were quick enough, it would give them the opportunity to then purchase a shoe. They'd purchase the shoe on their phone, and then they'd walk over to a specific designated locker number and pop open the locker, get their shoe out. No lineups, no staff, totally seamless, no elbows, no fights. Get your shoe, and totally democratic, which was a really, really, really important thing. So what did that conversation look like? It was all about, off this top, it was like, how do we democratize the sneaker drop? how do we avoid fights and scuffles over our product, and how do we do so with technology so that it's got a really commanding moment within the space. And so like there's this really awesome photo that I'll share with you, but it's a photograph of everyone holding up their phones to this giant Adidas cube, and it's really iconic. It's everyone's sort of saluting the Adidas logo, which is remarkable.
And when you talk about augmented reality, you're referring to, like, for example, the Pokemon that Pokemon Go that we've seen in the last couple of years kind of take off. That kind of
totally
fun that people can have with their phones and like.
Yeah, totally. Augmented reality in short is adding to the physical world a digital element, right? So that can be, like Pokemon Go, where you're hiding digital things within the physical space. So like at a specific GPS coordinate, there'll be a digital object. That's really cool. But it can also be more like marker based stuff, where rather than having to be in a specific spot, you use an image for your phone to recognize, to then bring out that digital experience.
And that's also taking people out of the store experience. Like they're still like,
definitely,
because you said like you were at Complex Con, right? So you're at a different environment. Like we're here today at the Toronto Convention Center, you know what I mean? Which is not a traditional retail store. So you could easily set up something like that here.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And then is that also important as well, to get people out of the store and into like life, I guess, or augmented reality?
Yeah, no, yes, it's important for people to have life.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think what's cool about AR and building AR experiences is that they're very scalable. So you can. What we mean by scalable is that it can work in different contexts for people and in different ways depending on that context. So you could build an AR experience that is maybe part of a brand experience inside of a store. It might be something that occurs on a tabletop in the middle of your store, and it tells your brand story.
Mm-hmm.
But that same application on your device when you take it home might be able to scan the tag of the product you just bought and tell you the specific story of the provenance of that product, or tell you about the artisan who made it, or where it came from, or something else. So you can really use AR to add both information and play-based experiences, and you can also shift those experiences based on what you know of the context of that user.
For the Adidas Predator, the attributes that you guys were going for, you released a case study. This is where I got it from.
Mm-hmm.
The people that you're connecting it with, the shoe, it was a soccer shoe basically, was what you're trying to do, and you were connecting it with really cool people, and their values were dominance, control, and creativity.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, that's kind of feeding a little bit what you're saying. That's like the same type. But the people that are going to Complex Con, those are kind of their attributes as well, that we're looking for. The creativity that you're talking about, the more in-depth kind of experience, rather than just like, that's why I was saying, like a store, you go in, you buy something, then you leave.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I think people today are really wanting those brand stories. They want to like be involved with brands that are active cultural contributors, brands that are creating cultural content. I think Adidas is doing a great job of this. Yeti Coolers is doing an amazing job of this with their adventure stories. And this is the sort of stuff that people use or consume and are interested in, especially when it's like light brand touch, where you're really telling a human story and you're creating connections. And that can be with a piece of film that tells that story, but it can also be something like Adidas Predator, which was a shipping container with projections all inside of it and loud music and like wicked technology and stuff like that.
Is that a technical term? Wicked technology?
Wicked technology is a technical term.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm a non-designer, so I'm learning the lingo too. So
yeah, I mean, listen, like you can nerd out about technology, but the more you can make it sort of sit in the background and just be something that supports an experience, that's when you've had success, right?
And you feel that after all this kind of funkiness in the augmented reality and people buy the shoes, you feel that the experience continues then with them wearing the shoes because they have that much more layered, nuanced experience?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was super memorable. I mean, it was so memorable that the CEO of Complex tweeted about it as soon as the Puma sponsorship ended. He tweeted about our piece. So that was That was
Nice.
pretty memorable for
High
him.
five.
Yeah, high five.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so, as I said, so you work at Jam3, and you guys just recently went through a new identity.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you just elaborate on that? Were you involved in some of the decisions? And it's kind of like it's a new year, new identity, I guess, is how you guys are
Yeah, 100%.
framing it.
Yeah, no, I mean it's been a really interesting journey with Jam3. I mean, just a little bit of history. We started as three friends above a garage in Etobicoke, which for people outside of Toronto, just know that this is a little part of Toronto that God forgot.
Yes.
And
That should be their official slogan.
so humble beginnings, all that to say. And yeah, I mean, the guys started to build the company and bring like-minded fans of the industry around. Fans of the industry being, that of design and technology and and storytelling, and that convergence of the three. And as we grew, we created lots of great products and stories and things like this. But there was a sort of inflection point for us that we felt the industry was really changing again, and we needed to change with it, and or change ahead of it, really. And so we developed we've added on a whole bunch more practice areas to our business to really help focus on solving business problems with creativity and technology as the backbone. So we went through a rebrand to really hone in on that. And so we abandoned our old logo, which was we used to call the worm, and it had sort of run its course, and we were ready to explore something fresh. And so what did that process look like? Well, I think the process was actually really formative for what the end result was. So our creative director, Roger Dario, wanted to run 2-week design sprints, which is a convention within the technology space to run sprints. And the application of a design sprint to a branding project is actually not very conventional, but it feels really natural to us. So we ran large quantity of logo directions, and we did dailies on that. To borrow a production term, so designers
Like wicked technology, another term.
Another term, yeah. So we would run a daily cycle of design, and then we would do a creative crit at the end of the day, and we would eliminate directions and then pursue others. And at the end of a series of 2-week sprints, which was sort of the end of that daily cycling, we sort of landed on the direction of our new mark. And I'm really, really pleased with it. I think one of the wonderful things about it is that sort of anthropomorphization of the logo. It's got a kind of a wink to it. It's a 3 with that looks almost like your emoji 3 or your conventional emoji 3 before emojis.
Yes.
What was that called?
I don't know. It's hard to know all the like.
Yeah.
You're the one dropping wicked technology and stuff. I'm trying to keep up with the.
Yeah. Well, I mean, back in the day when you'd use a semicolon and a
smiley
and
face,
a bracket.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I can't remember. There was a term. I can't remember what it is now.
Yeah.
That's gonna drive me nuts now all day.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that sort of wink, which we really like. I think we were really. It's a wink to where we work best, really, which is in that space between humans and technology, and creating wonderful experiences inside that space.
So that concludes part 1. That was my conversation with Michael Dobell at the Interior Design Show following his talk, and we kind of hit it off. And I wanted to follow up with a few more things. And he graciously invited me to Jam3 to kind of get a tour of the place. The place is fantastic. And to kind of just follow up. And so in part 2, we go beyond some of the Adidas stuff into some of the stuff with Postmates, the work that Jam3 does with Postmates. It's a really fascinating company, and I hope that company does eventually come to Toronto. It's a robot that brings you food. Like, yo, the future is amazing. Anyways, here's part 2 of my conversation with Michael Dobell. All right. So welcome back, Michael. We started talking back in the Interior Design Show following your talk. And there was a couple of things that I wanted to flesh out and talk about. But before we get into that, we are here at Jam3, so we've switched locations,
A little quieter.
little quieter. And I want to know, what's the deal with the chicken wings?
Oh, yeah.
Jam3 and chicken wings. What's the...
Yeah, for sure. That's a very funny question, and I'm amazed that you came across that. We take it.
We got to go to the good stuff. Chicken wings is a good start.
Chicken wings are delicious.
Yeah.
And there's a place in Toronto called Duff's, which is famous for their high-powered chicken wings.
Yeah.
And there's a Armageddon wing, which is entertaining for
Oh, I couldn't do that one.
new employees to experience.
Okay, so I won't be working here then. So
No,
that's your
maybe
your
not.
like
Yeah.
quote unquote, like, I guess, hazing, for lack of, not a mean thing, but just kind of,
It's an onboarding.
yeah.
Yeah, no. It's funny. That's it's been a bit of a tradition since early days of when there were 3 or 4 folks here, and we just still try to do wings, and it's not so much a forced experience, but it's encouraged.
Mm-hmm. And is that kind of related back again to like the Good Vibes Only mural?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that we've really tried to do as a company is create a great culture, a culture of positivity, and making sure that we're creating opportunities for people to come together and to experience each other outside of work, and to make connections that span beyond that has been, just great for people and for their lives and their shared experience, but also it's benefited us as a company as well. We've seen projects come out of conversations that have happened on the evenings and weekends between 2, enthusiastic, creative individuals, and cool projects have emerged because of that. So it's not entirely selfless. We believe, like, if you can create a great creative environment, it'll just be very healthy for the company.
You mentioned kind of like the healthy environment. It does trigger some ideas and some projects and stuff like that. Is it the same way where, like, you look at a painting and you can know who the artist is right away, or you see a certain film or a certain style of film and that's like a Martin Scorsese? Like, is it the same thing where, like, you can see a certain project and you can see some of the Jam3 culture, the Jam3 fingerprints kind of on it?
Certainly. I mean, I think as a company, we've never had a distinct style, but I've had other studios and agency principals say that they know when it's from Jam3, and it's so there is an indelible mark that culture places on the work itself, and that's not about color choices or a certain lean towards a specific style of, but it's about the, I think, the thoughtfulness that goes into the projects, I think, is something to do with that. I haven't put my finger on it yet.
Yeah. What you're saying is it's very similar to, like, Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin produces a lot of music for, like, Beastie Boys, Run-D.M.C, Slayer, Chili Peppers, Johnny Cash. But as a producer, there's no consistency. Like, when you listen to Dr. Dre, there's certain sounds or certain rhythms that are classic Dr. Dre. But with Rick Rubin, it's like he works on all these different projects and all these different bands, and it's all good. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, we talk about fit and finish, and there's something about that in his work that is that consistency. It's that high caliber work, and that attention to detail, and that fullness of space, and
The flip side of that coin, there's a really cool quote. I might get her name, Carly D. Filippio. Is that their name? She said, she has a really cool quote. She said, "Producing is like an invisible art. If you're any good at it, you leave no fingerprints."
It's a good one. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you do as well. You said, like, sometimes people won't know, like there's no Jam3 credits or something in a certain project or something like this. And that's also like another goal as well, in a sense, to leave no fingerprints.
Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, that you hit on that. I mean, we credit our staff incredibly throughout the production and in the awards, but you'll never see something released by Jam3 and such a director or this producer as their project. It's always our project. It comes from the brand of Jam3, and I mean, I think we as a when we have an experience to make, it's to answer a specific business problem, and we need to be advocates for the success of that production, and in doing so, you shouldn't be trying to leave your own creative fingerprint on that work. It should be always asking questions about how we might make it more effective, make it more.
Yeah. And even, like you said, it's a business problem in a sense, right? So you're trying to solve something.
Definitely. Like the foundation of all of the work that we do is comes from addressing some sort of business problem, whether or not we're involved in the taking apart of that business problem and the analysis of that business problem and the solutioning around that business problem. We may be involved in that process, or we may be involved in strictly the execution of the determined solution to that business problem. So we hope to be a part of all of that, where we're looking at the business problem that a client has, looking at the different avenues down which we might pursue to address that problem or that opportunity, even better, and then the different things that we can produce that come out of that strategically create impact and positive results.
And so during that process, is that what you're a fan of, that in terms of that whole journey, right? From like when a client comes to you, like Adidas comes to you and says, we want to do something cool with sneakerheads or something, to finally getting something at Complex Con, right? Like, are you a fan of the process, or are you a fan of the final product when it's out there now and all the work is done?
You have to be a bit of both. I'm sorry to hit it right down the middle. And I know somebody else on your podcast was good at going right down the middle every time, but I'd say you have to be a fan of both. So we talk about the continuous pursuit of better has been one of our internal mantras. So that's not just the work, but like, how do we get there together? And when we break out as a leadership team to talk about the health of our business, we talk about people, we talk about process, and we talk about product. And you have to be fans of all three of those things in equal measure. We need to be spending 30% of our time working with our people, making their life experience better, hiring new people, meeting new people. That's why we're talking. And then we need to be spending a third of our time focused on how do we create and the process that surrounds that. What are the norms of communication? What's the culture that we're creating? Is it inspiring? Is it healthy? Is it effective? Is it as tight and as well understood as it could be? And then, of course, the final product has to hit a certain bar. And that's somewhere that's, I feel, has always been our strength, is that craftsmanship that completes it. And those other two things are things that as we've scaled, we've really had to work harder in those areas to strengthen what it is that we do around our processes to make sure that we're delivering that every single time. And I think today we've got a really healthy mix of those three. In terms of like my passion, though, which I think might have been where your
well, that's what I was getting at, because it's a long journey, right? Yeah. Like from time Adidas comes to you to finally doing something at Complex Con, it's not like a weekend work or something, right? So
well, look, it's a bit. It would be a short-sighted thing to focus entirely on the end product. I think the end product manifests itself out of the work experience. And if you have the healthy work experience, you can treat every client or project or opportunity as something interesting to solve. And then your solutioning is the fun part. And then the thing that comes out of it should be logical to the questions we were asking and the strategy we set up. And it doesn't mean that every project is actually going to be interesting as you work your way through it, but if the middle part, the lengthy part, isn't fun, then it doesn't matter how cool the end project is. You're going to burn out as a creative.
How much time then, you mentioned dividing the time and focusing on culture and chicken wings and these things. How much time do you spend also thinking about the future and dwelling in the future and trying to see where augmented reality is going to go, or virtual reality, or some of these cool tech toys, where they're going to go?
Definitely.
How much time do you spend in the future knowing that you have to work in the present?
Mm-hmm. It's funny because everything we're doing is delivering months and months out. So we're always in the habit of future casting. As a company, we've always worked on the latest and greatest piece of technology and tried to figure out creative applications for it. We were hacking AR on the iPhone before it was before ARKit, and making that sort of thing work. And it's a big part of what we do. We've tackled it a few different ways. So we run R&D cycles or experiment cycles or innovation cycles, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, we will second a group of people together today. Today is probably the most interesting form that it's taken. Is there's an objective in terms of experimenting with a new piece of technology or exploring the challenges of a specific marketplace. And then we're pulling teams together. We're seconding people from the organization to tackle that problem and then to produce a solution. So that can come in the form of like a design sprint or a technology prototype. Sometimes that's come in the form of like a user experience film, which demonstrates what the possibility of this solution might have in the world around us, and what their life might be like if this product existed. Yeah, it's a big part of who we are. We don't have like an innovation group or a dedicated lab or anything like that. It's part of the DNA of who we are, and we just try to make sure we're extracting the right people with enough frequency out of their day-to-day productions and getting them an opportunity to work in this more free-form formats.
So when Adidas comes to you, then how do you know then you can eHarmony match Adidas with augmented reality, and that this would be a good fit and it would be a good marriage?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Out of like all the other toys,
all the other toys and tech that are out there. Yeah, that's a great question, because a lot of times people will come to us with a preconceived notion about a technology being really applicable to their business problem. So they'll be like, "Hey, open brief. Here's this challenge that we've got, but augmented reality."
Yes, and, they like because a lot of people like the sexy stuff. Right?
Yeah, for sure. And so we'll, we tease that apart, and we look at the practicalities of it and the effectiveness of it. I mean, I think to a certain extent, the augmented reality, great, like that's gonna get you a headline, and if you're doing an activation, those are all about headlines. So that can work if we're building something that's meant to resolve a real user need on a utility basis, though that might not be the right solution, although somebody may come to us with a preconceived idea that it is. Mm-hmm. So we get good at challenging and really rigorously challenging ourselves as well as our clients, and trying to understand what the right technology set is that should follow the intention.
So it's less eHarmony, more like Tinder in a way, where you're kind of just going through like, is this right? Is this right? This is not what I'm looking for, until you kind of...
Yeah. Well, I would say it's more like arranged marriage.
Okay. There you go. There's no app for that. So.
Yeah, no, there's no, well, I don't, not that I know.
Oh, yeah.
It's absolutely, it's about what's going to get the maximum benefit and what's going to power the thing that we're trying to achieve, and which technology is going to power that.
And so what comes first then? Is it the decision with the technology, and then that feeds into, that generates a story, or do you start with the story kind of first, and then that leads into the technology, or is it always just different? There's more than one way to get to work.
So it starts with strategy. So we start with people, and we try to understand who it is that we're going to be addressing, whose needs we're going to be addressing. Then we're going to be looking at their context. So my context when I'm getting ready to go to bed versus when I'm getting ready to go to a concert versus when I'm getting ready to go to the grocery store are going to be three totally different contexts. So understanding user context is super important. And then following that, it's understanding ecosystem, and where does this piece of where does what it is we think we might make fit into the broader ecosystem of that person's set of tools or set of experiences, and where does it fit into the even broader ecosystem of all the tools and services that are out there. And then usually when you go through those 3 steps, that really helps us to ground ourselves on what it is that's really going to be truly empathetic to their needs and also awesome in their experience. And from there, we can typically start to see certain synergies between a design solution and the context where the thing will exist, and also the technology that would support that. Typically, experience leads, technology supports, but that's not a rule. And all of our design team is really fluent in what's going on with technology because they sit next door to technologists all day. And that's been really that's a big part of our culture here, is being that sort of vertically integrated firm where, we have research and strategy through to design and technology folks all sitting in a scrum floor where they can exchange ideas really freely.
You mentioned awesomeness. Working at Jam3 and working with all these different clients, how has your definition of awesomeness changed or evolved, or has it? Has it gotten bigger or broader? Or
Yeah, that's a good question. Sure, it has. I think what used to be awesome was doing something clever and applying a piece of technology in a different way or an unexpected way. Like, in other words, turning something on its head. And I think awesome today is a much broader thing. It's not just thinking differently. It's really trying to make sure you're meeting needs and meeting opportunities for people. We talked already quite a bit about Complex Con, but I think that project was really stand out for me anyway in its ability to tackle both the desire to democratize a shoe drop and to do it in the context of the chaos that's Complex Con, and to do it in a way that was remarkable and that people were so excited about, that they captured the attention of the media. And the photos of people kind of saluting the Adidas cube was really mind-blowing for me. So.
And is that also related or connected then to empathy as well? Because you touched upon that, where like you said, like part of the reason that Adidas did it this way is because when a really limited edition shoe drops, people are fighting and elbowing and all these kind of more the ugly side of human nature. And so this kind of now is a little bit more empathy and kindness.
Yeah, well, definitely. It's something that I'm working on in my own life, but it's we need to be. Look, we live in a time where brands have gotten to where they are today with okay product and sometimes great product, but on the whole, it's okay product, and they make up for products being okay with advertising, and so we can hide the okayness of this thing by some great association with an athlete or with a great headline or a cool commercial or
Super Bowl commercial,
whatever. Yeah. And today, I think we're really seeing that migration towards design being fundamental to everything that has to come out. We've got much higher expectations as human beings, and than we've ever had before, because we are now exposed to choice and we're involved in a three-way conversation in a way that we've never been before. And the three-way conversation I'm talking about is like the brand speaking to us through its channels, and us speaking to our friends and the public about our experiences with that product. And so many more purchases are taking place with a product reviewed ahead of time, and so I think that there's a benefit to the quality of product that's out there, and from that we need to be designing great products. And design fundamentally great design fundamentally has to come from a human-centered thought process, which is a type of empathy.
Do we lose surprise though if we're having these three-way conversation, and like if the focus is now on design, can you still surprise an audience and just kind of sneak up on them?
Well, that's storytelling, right? And I think that there's of course a wonderful place for that. That's fantastic, and that's another part of like what we try to bring to the mix, because you have to shake it up. But I think you have to have those design fundamentals in place in order for something to have longevity and to be scalable, and to not just be like a Christmas tree bauble that you use that one year and you hang it on the tree and then that was that season's thing, but to create something that you want to bring out of the box or keep on the mantelpiece all year round, and maybe give it different. This metaphor breaks down here, but
You're doing good there.
But to give it different wrappings and to give it different meanings over the course of the year. That's how story can apply on top of design.
Well, how do you then design? I guess it's a complicated question, but how do you design so that you avoid laziness as well? Because we've seen that too sometimes, where people, if a shopping cart experience or something's too many clicks or something, people will abandon things. There's a subset of people that are quite lazy too, right? They just want to like download the Adidas shoes like right away or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Maybe laziness is not the best word, but like, you know what I'm getting at?
Like, not so much. Sorry.
What's the best way to?
I can feel an edit coming in here.
Yeah, I might leave some of this in. We can, but I guess it's just that like people have impatience. I guess that's a better way to put it, right? Yeah. Where like if the story's not going somewhere, and like we've been this happens to us with movies as well, where like we know that this guy's gonna join the Avengers, right? Why are we having this whole discussion of like, I don't know if I should join the Avengers. I'm like, we know we saw you on the poster. We know you're in the Avengers. You know what I mean? So people sometimes have an impatience or a lack of ability to wait for something to happen. Does that make sense? And so how do you design something where people can still stay engaged, but if the process takes a little longer or if it exceeds expectations, they'll still stick with it? Does that make better sense?
Sure. Yeah, I think we live in very impatient times, and I think that's a big problem.
That's what I was getting. There you go. You're a lot more eloquent than I am. That's what I was getting. Yeah.
We live. It's a frustrating time for me as somebody born in the 70s who, when I got excited about a topic, I went to the library and I checked out all the books and I read all the books and I dug deep and I learned something, and I didn't have at all the same access to information, but through that process I feel like I developed a kind of tolerance to deep research and things like that, and I feel like I've brought that to this time now where we can have an incredible surface level understanding of so many things, and with that an incredible impatience to get to the point, or that's 6 seconds of YouTube spot. Fine, that's where we live. So we design products and services that can support that.
The popcorn button on the microwave.
Yes, sure, the popcorn button on the microwave. So with this might actually be an interesting time to kind of talk a little bit about our interactive documentary work, which has tried to address this in a few different ways, with the thing we've called like the 220 rule, which is essentially like if somebody's willing to come to the .com of an interactive doc, they've already got a level of interest about the subject. But still, we recognize that people have short attention spans. We try to adhere to what we call the 220 rule, where we need to provide a surface level understanding in 2 minutes or less, or dig deep in 20 minutes, and provide 20 minutes of depth, so people can really get an understanding of whatever the subject is. So we try to design for different user types, those that are wanting to dig deeper, maybe more like me sometimes, and or obsess about it, but also to provide that like quick hit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Kind of what you're talking about a little bit is like, again, I'll just go back to the Avengers, but it's like a lot of people who didn't grow up reading comics are enjoying these movies, and then they walk away with just like, oh, that was a fun movie. I had some popcorn, I had some nachos, that was a good day. And then other people who grew up reading comics, they're appreciating from a different level, and they're seeing Easter eggs and different layers and stuff. And like, well, that movie's amazing. I'm like, oh, that was just a summer blockbuster for me. But oh, that movie's amazing, right? That's kind of what you're getting at.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Can I ask you about Postmates?
You may.
So just for people who don't know what Postmates is, just can you break down what the company does? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so Postmates is a food delivery service of which there are many. But Postmates owns a huge percentage of the Los Angeles market. And as a result, they're super popular with the actors and actresses in the film business. And so if you check out Postmates on Insta, you'll see all kinds of crazy actors posting food that's just been delivered by Postmates. So they've gotten a lot of traction just because of the market that they're in. Postmates came to us a little while ago because they were releasing a food delivery robot, which is a little shopping cart-esque robot. It looks something like a cross between WALL-E and R2-D2.
That's why I brought it up. Yeah, because I was like, yo, this is so cool.
It's amazing. And when I heard that this project was coming to us and that we were going to be working through this with them, I mean, I was like over the moon because it was so much childhood coming together.
Yeah, it's a robot bringing you food. That's like a...
Holy cow, we live in the future.
Yes.
And yeah, so that was amazing. And, they did kudos to them, the thoughtfulness that went into the design of that robot. There's some incredible articles out there that are worth checking out about, the design thinking that went into how to make this look like a robot that you don't want to kick over in the street, but one that you want to welcome into your streetscape.
Yeah, because we've seen enough science fiction films now. Like we've
Yep.
seen the Terminator.
Yep.
That's the evil robot.
Yep, totally.
And we've seen WALL-E, which is a nice robot.
Yeah, totally. And so what we worked on with them was an extension of that communications package. So I mean, that's a big part of what we do at Jam3. We help people launch new technologies and products into the world, and to do so with the positioning that they want, so people get the impression that you're looking for, and that you understand your intention. And so we were helping to kind of tell that story in their .com around what this product is, how considerate it is of the streetscape and the environment and the communities, and how it does what it does.
Yeah. And so that work started to come out now, the work that you've done with them?
Yeah, that piece is out now, and it's a well thought through website essentially. So it just tells the story of that product, and then the robots themselves are going to be out, I believe, in March or April this year.
But in LA though, in San Fran?
LA, San Fran.
Okay. Are the robots coming here at all?
We'll see.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Yeah. This is why I asked you how much time you spend in the future. I mean, the robots bringing you food. That's like...
Yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, it was amazing to be within the circle of trust there before it's released. So, yeah, that's fun.
This is maybe a slightly ignorant question, so I apologize, but I'm going to ask it anyways. But do the companies know themselves and what they actually offer, or is it just after a certain point they just put stuff out there and like, we don't know if people like this or not? Like, people have been drinking Coke for years. Do people like this stuff, or like, or Procter & Gamble?
Yeah.
Do people like Mr. Clean? Like, do they lose the thread after a certain point?
There's no universal answer to that question. I think every brand needs to spend more time truly understanding and getting a third-party point of view on their customers and how their products fit into their experience. I think that's just ongoing learning, continuous pursuit of learning that brands need to be doing, and no one's doing enough of that. But at the same time, there's more information than ever out there, ready to be processed, ready to be understood, ready to be truly considered, and then reintegrated into to the next round of consideration. I mean, we do rich analytics in all of the products and services and experiences that we make. So we have a really good understanding of how people are moving through them and what's working and what's not. And then we apply that as an agency. We apply that continuous learning to the next round of products and services that we make, whether it's for that brand or for another. It's just helpful for us to be the best that we can be, and then the brands themselves can either, trust us to continue to apply that learning to their products and services, or richly understand it and then integrate that into their next round of product development itself. And then that's where things, I think, get really exciting.
Yeah, because I mean, we were talking about off air. Like, we grew up in the 70s and early 80s. So Adidas comes in with like Run-D.M.C, and that was kind of our introduction to it. And then a few years after that, you had like the Adidas house party and those kind of things, where all these really cool people in there. Those are really cool commercials. And now it's like the young kids coming up, they're looking at Adidas through like Pharrell and other people. You know what I mean? So a company like that, that's what I was asking, because it's like it's been through all these iterations.
Yep. Yeah.
And so it's like it's interesting to see how they continue to view themselves, or how they've allowed them the evolution of how they've viewed themselves.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, I think their self-awareness is always changing depending on the richness that or the time that they invest in that self-understanding and self-awareness, but then the brands themselves are moving and evolving, and I think brands are evolutionary systems today and need to be malleable, and they need to be allowed to evolve and to respond to and be a part of culture and be active cultural creators. And I think that's a big part of why Adidas has risen so fast and so fluidly, is because they're active participants in culture, and they create, and they
Creators unite.
Yep.
And I guess then, just to kind of wrap up, then your job is basically always to be learning. Then you can't really have a quote unquote a set of expectations or something like this. You kind of like company like Postmates come to you and they're like, oh, maybe robots are nice and they can deliver us food. Maybe they're not like evil like we saw in science fiction movies. Like, you're always kind of learning and growing and adapting yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, curiosity is one of our core values here, and we hire for what's part of our hiring criteria is, are you curious?
Yeah.
Don't ask people that question, but
Because it's hard to talk with the chicken wings in your
yeah,
mouth.
Yeah. But we try to wait, that comes next.
Oh, sorry.
But we try to determine, how curious people are, and we need people that are into continuous learning. And how do you pursue that personal betterment through learning? It's a wonderful thing. That's what we're here to do.
Being curious, isn't that kind of dangerous these days? The way with our climate is, and the way our discussions are online and stuff like that, people have a lot of rigid or set ideas or set expectations, whatever. So if you're curious, sometimes it's almost like you're questioning established or settled theories or ideas. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
it kind of like makes you more dangerous in a sense, doesn't it?
I think it's good to be dangerous.
That's it. We got to end it there. That's it was really cool. Where can people find you online and see some of the projects and some of the stuff you have coming up?
Yep. So you can check us out on our socials. It's generally Jam3, all one word, or at jam3.com.
Okay. Thank you, Michael, for taking some time and just kind of talking about all the cool stuff with Adidas and stuff like that. Are you guys going to be doing more Adidas stuff in the future as well?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Yeah. What Adidas are you rocking today, by the way?
Oh, I've got a pair of Stan Smiths on.
Okay. The classics.
Yeah.
That's nice. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I'm actually wearing an Adidas track suit jacket right now. So it's all coming together. You can follow me, My Pal Sammy, and that's for Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, My Pal Sammy. And this has been another exciting episode of My Summer Lair. Thank you.